Okay, so the topic I was going to talk about was marble, marble deities specifically, and how they can become damaged. And I'll give you an example. Now, many of you may know where this deity is. That's not particularly relevant, but this is just to show you, give you an example, really, of what can happen. All right, so the nature of marble is that it's what they call living stone. By living stone, we mean that it changes over time. And this, from what I can understand, is largely due to what is called capillary action. So capillary action means that moisture will move through something due to differences in pressure, air pressure, and things like that. So when marble, especially white marble, when it's in a moist environment, it absorbs moisture. I've got some pictures of Gornitai deities that have got like black mold on their back from moisture. Let me just sort of back up a little bit. When I was in London just recently, I had a very interesting call with a devotee there, Kayananda Prabhu, and he's an art restoration expert. He does freelance, art restoration, and he's done, restoration for various museums in Paris and other parts of the world. He's very, very expert. And so I had quite a lengthy conversation, went on for about an hour and a half, because he doesn't speak English, he only speaks French. And so I had to work through a translator, but he was explaining to me a lot about the nature of marble and the types of things that can affect marble. So, and this is more relevant for white marble than it is for black marble. Black marble seems to be a little bit different in its nature. It doesn't seem to absorb moisture so rapidly. And also it seems, from my experience, to be much stronger than white marble. Anyhow, so just to give you an idea, the types of things that can affect white marble is moisture of any type. It means water, means milk, means things like, like when, like sometimes devotees want to do abhisheks for their marble deities. Not very good idea. Not very good idea at all. And actually, there's a conversation that was recorded in Vrindavan. I think it was in 1977, and Prabhupada, Prabhupada was there, Harikesh was there, and a few other devotees, and they were talking about how the head Pujari at that time, who was Nitai, was bathing the marble deities, and Srila Prabhupada said it shouldn't be done because it causes all the color. And when he was saying color, I take that to mean the shine of the deity, because the deities, if you keep them dry and you wipe them with a dry cloth, they can become quite effulgent. And actually, if I had time to prepare this presentation, I'd show you some photos of our deities here, which I may try to get to show you later anyhow. But I'll show you photos of our deities here, and you'll see they shine. They're just so radiant. And I'll discuss that a little bit more in a while. So things like water, any types of liquids really, are very detrimental to white marble. Also things like poster paints, like sometimes you see devotees, they paint the deities with poster paints and different things. This marble expert, he was saying to me, this is the worst thing you can put on a deity, on marble, because it gets absorbed into the paint. I do have some photos. Unfortunately, I can't find them at short notice, but I do have some photos where deities have been permanently stained because devotees have painted, inappropriate paint on white deities, and the deities permanently stained. And this is because of the nature of the stone, because it has this capillary nature. It's almost like it sucks in the moisture. And so if we go putting, paints on white marble deities, don't be surprised if the deities become permanently stained, because it goes inside the marble and you can't get it out. So another drawback with putting moisture, particularly water, like in some temples, they have the habit of wiping the deities down with a moist cloth. I actively discourage that because it's very detrimental to the marble. But one of the problems that comes is the marble absorbs the moisture, but also what can happen is microorganisms will live in that water. Things such as I mentioned, I do have a photo somewhere of these deities that have black mold on their backs. And once that gets into the deity, very, very difficult to remove it. Very difficult because it's actually under the surface of the marble. And other types of microorganisms. I'll share the screen and I'll show you, I think this one here. Let me just, hang on a sec. Close the sidebar. Right, so this is a deity of Radharani. And if you look closely, you'll see how she's got these brown marks on her face and on her nose. Actually, this mark here on her left, our right cheek, was there when Prabhupada installed her. But it's got much worse over the years. Much, much worse. And this is from moisture being absorbed into the deity and microorganisms living in that moisture. Yeah. And so this devotee, Akayananda, he went there to Paris. This is actually Paris. I wasn't going to tell you, but I slipped out. He went there to this temple, and he put in a lot of time, and he restored the appearance of Radharani. And now, if you look at her face now, you can see there's no obvious blemishes. You can see a little bit you can see on the cheek because this is an imperfection in the marble, and it's more inclined to absorb moisture than other things. But you can see through his expertise, he's been able to remove all these stainings. And essentially what this stain is was water or moisture that had got into the deity, and a microorganism of some kind was living in that moisture. So yeah, that's essentially what I wanted to talk about, was just but I wanted to show you a lot more pictures and just examples of deities that have become damaged from improper care. And marble can last for many, many years, even thousands of years if it's properly cared for. There's an example of I can't remember the name of it, but there's an old marble statue which is 2,600 years old. I mean, it's been broken over the years because it hasn't been treated properly, but still this statue 2,600 years later is still recognizable. And so if we look after the deities properly, the deities will last for many, many years. But if we don't look after them properly, they'll become damaged and they'll need to be replaced. And this may not be such an issue with deities like Jagannath or with metal deities, but when the deities have been installed by Srila Prabhupada, there is some degree of attachment and some degree of historical significance of the deities. So that is also there. So there's a temple we're working with right now where there's deities that are installed by Prabhupada, and that the same sort of blemishes are coming up. So we're arranging to fly Akayananda there to assist in the renovation of these deities. And also, like, in terms of caring for the deities, my experience here in New Govardhan has been that we don't put any moisture on like no water or anything like that. We don't wipe them down with wet cloths or anything like that. We wipe them down every day with a dry, I'm not sure if you have a Russian term for it, Vani Madhava, but a flannelette cloth. Flannelette is like a soft woven cotton, and it has like a fluffy finish, very, very soft. This is the type of cloth they use in the museums in France to wipe the deities down. So that's one aspect of the care. And the other aspect of the care that I find is very, very helpful. And what I'll try and do is by next week, I'll have some photos of the deities here and I'll show you the effect this has had. We only wipe the deities down with a dry cloth, and then every Ekadashi, we rub ghee on the deities. Very, very small amount, like about this much ghee over the whole body. The deities here are, I think, 40 inches tall. So about this much ghee over the whole body of each deity. And this just gives the deity such a shine. But also, as Deva was informing me, the ghee helps to clean the deities as well. But a devotee from Italy, Manohar, he was saying they use ghee in Italy to seal the marble. So, not ghee, sorry, they use oil. They use a particular type of oil to seal the marble. So it has the effect of sealing the marble so that they don't become, so they don't absorb any moisture. There is also a treatment you can do when they make the deities where they use a mild acid and they rub with steel wool, but I need to find out more about this and possibly will encourage devotees when they're getting deities made to apply this, because it actually seals the deity, the marble, so that it doesn't become damaged. So just wiping the deities with a soft cloth, and then rubbing a very, very small amount of ghee on ecologies. And actually, Prabhupada told the devotees, Lakshmi Moni was telling us, Prabhupada had told them that every ecology to rub a little bit of ghee on the deities. So there you have it. That's a shortcut version of my presentation, because I wasn't expecting to give a presentation today. And any questions on that at all? I'm sure there's a few temples here represented that have marble deities. Okay. So it doesn't seem like there's any questions. So what I could ask you to do before we close is, when you're standing in front of your deities next in the temple where you're serving, please offer a prayer for the welfare of Badrinath Maharaj, for his good health and ongoing service. Oh, Mani Manjari Mataji from New Mayapur, where they have such beautiful Radha Krishna deities and Krishna Balaram and Sri Sri Kornitai. Yes, Mani Manjari.
One doubt. So should we use ghee in the white deities marble also, or no?
Yeah, but you have to be sure, because see, sometimes when they make ghee, they put coloring in it. So if you're not sure about the purity of the ghee, it's probably better to make the ghee yourself.
Yes, here we have a devotee who makes the ghee.
Yeah, it won't stain the deity.
Okay.
I mean, we have Gaunitai, who are white marble. We have Radharani, who's white marble, and we have Balaram, who's white marble. And we've been rubbing ghee on them for about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years at least, maybe more than that now. And it hasn't colored them. But I know many, many deities in ISKCON who've become discolored from other things being rubbed on them. So, yeah, something to consider. But like I said, yes, Vangsi Vat Prabhu, our wonderful head pujari from ISKCON London. I think you're on mute, Vangsi.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Haribol, obeisances, Jai Prabhupada.
Obeisances, Jai Prabhupada. I had about the rubbing of ghee on their lordships. So when you rub the ghee, you said it's a very little amount, isn't it?
Very small, little. Yeah, because you don't want the deities to be greasy.
Yeah, so then you don't wipe them again to remove that.
You can wipe them with a dry cloth afterwards to remove the ghee, because you don't want them greasy.
Yeah. Okay.
Because otherwise the ghee will get on the clothes and everything like that. It will stain because the ghee itself won't stain the clothes so much, but it's the dirt that gets on the clothes when the ghee's on there and it sticks and it gets into the.
Yeah.
But very, very small amount. Just enough to cover them, and especially if you were planning to do it for Radhalan Nishra, obviously I'd speak to Murli Manohar about it first. But you probably just do the face and the arms and the feet, because all the rest is painted clothing.
Yeah, wouldn't be all over the body. Yes, I had
here we do it all over the body, because they don't have carved features. It's just they don't have clothes or anything, shutters or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, so hopefully we'll be blessed with the association of Badrinath Maharaj week after next. And what I'll do is I will come up with some photos just to show you. I'll try and find some older photos, because I've got quite a lot of photos, but it's like you're just trying to find them. I can show you some older photos before we started doing that, and also before I was involved in painting the deities. and also some recent photos, and you'll see a notable difference. I remember Badahari Prabhu. I think most of you might know Badahari. He's a wonderful kirtanier. He came here. He came here before we started using the ghee, and then he came 2 years later. I said, "What have you been doing? The deities are so effulgent." And so I explained it to him what we were doing. We were just using ghee to protect the marble. So I just encourage you, whatever you do, whether you use ghee or not on the deities, that's your choice. But just be very, very careful about putting any types of liquids. Please don't rub oil on the deities. I mean, there are temples that have been rubbing oil on the deities for years, and I know one temple, one very well-known temple actually, they've been rubbing ghee on the deities for years, and now Lord Chaitanya is going yellow from the oil because he's absorbing the oil. Don't rub oil on the deities. Don't use, especially if you have white marble. Don't use paints on the paints for doing tilak decorations on their face. It will discolor them after time. Also, things like marigold garlands. It's a common thing that devotees like to put garlands in the deities' hands. And I know another temple where they almost every day they put a marigold garland in Radharani's hand because marigolds grow very readily. And so what's happened now is she's got this dark brown stain, just across her finger here, where the garland sits on her hand. And you'll never get that out, unless you do some extreme treatment. But it's part of the legacy that Prabhupada has given us is to preserve these deities, and to care for them appropriately. Okay, so on that note, we're finishing on time. A minute early. It's really wonderful to see you again, and I hope and pray that your service is going well, and Krishna is being very rewarding for your service, and he's nurturing you in your bhakti, and looking forward to seeing you all again next Monday. Hare Krishna.